Hey there, guys. I just thought I'd get ready to do the third episode shooting from the hip here. Just got through getting my first ever vintage Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle T-shirt. Yeah, if that doesn't show you that I am a proud geek, then I don't know whatever will. But other than that, like I said, I've already kind of briefly discussed my fandom of professional wrestling in the first episodes, parts 1 and 2, and then the second episode, shooting from the hip, basically was just kind of my thoughts on the show of MTV show Virgin Territory, which I kind of still think is it's just ill-advised. Production of stuff that people shouldn't have to worry about. All the other stuff that people worry about nowadays, they shouldn't have to worry about that type of things. And placing that type of stuff on young people, I just don't think is right. But anyways, that's already been documented. Basically, in this third episode of Shooting from the Hip, I'm just going to kind of basically call it like it is and tell you guys a little bit more about myself, basically, and what this whole thing is and stuff. And first of all, they're like, okay, why decide to have a YouTube channel in the first place? That's a good question. Okay, and then why is your opinion necessarily? Why do you think your opinion on things is better than anybody else's? And that's another good question. And why do you think that adding it out there to the vast array of other content that you can find is going to add or take away from anything that's already out there? Because there's 1,000,001 people that's reviewing books out there. There's 1,000,001 people reviewing movies, and there's 1,000,001 people reviewing video games and all that other stuff out there. And so why add your stuff to it, basically? And I'm sure, like I said, not everybody wants to do this, but I think it was fun. I think it's a fun idea, and it's something I've always wanted to do. I first wanted to do a podcast. Like I said, some of my favorite podcasts that I listen to right now over on Podcast One is Chris Jericho's Talk is Jericho program. And then Jim Ross's Ross Report, I listened to that, and then I listened to Stone Cold Steve Austin, both of his, which are the Unleashed version, and then his other regular one, which is hilarious. And so, and I thought, here's the deal. Basically, it takes a lot of time and effort to do a podcast. People think that you can just do a podcast and you sit down and basically... why does anybody want to listen to what you have to say as opposed to the millions and millions of other people out there doing the very same thing? And as I asked myself too, I said, what would be the most plausible thing? What would be the most funnest thing that I could do that would be most cost effective and would let me have some fun out there and maybe meet some new friends and things? And then this was the answer, because the podcast, like I said, regardless of what people think, it takes a lot of time to do that. You have to really plan out what you're going to do, and you have to go by a plan. And yeah, it's portable. You can take it with you and stuff like that, and you have to have a mic and everything. The thing is you got to have somebody that you're interviewing or doing a program on that people actually want to actually tune in and listen to. Because on iTunes is usually, or Podcast One, it goes on how many people subscribe and things like that. And so, the average Joe that's talking about early things, he doesn't get a lot of subscribers and such, because obviously not everybody, of course, if you're interviewing a guy like Bill Goldberg, or if you're interviewing a guy like, George Clooney or something like that, well, then people are going to tune in because, from where I live way out here in the boondocks in the middle of nowhere. And so the idea of me actually finding somebody that you guys are actually going to be interested in listening to me interview that guy for an hour and a half or whatever it is for a podcast. The chances of that happening are slim to none. So I figured, well, I would have a better chance of actually just doing a YouTube channel where I could use my webcam. I don't have a mic, so I could film a lot of my interests. Like I am a nerd, and I am proud of it. Not only do I like professional wrestling, I love reading. Obviously, as you've seen, I watch movies religiously, and I got interest in all kinds of things. I like classic horror movies, which I'll be reviewing some of that on here. I love my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I love Star Trek, all of them. Even though I love the classic series, I loved all the movies. I got a lot of Star Trek in here, and you'll be seeing that too. I love Star Wars. Yeah, you can actually be a Star Trek fan, and you can also be a Star Wars fan. And I'm both. I love them all. Star Wars is great, and I think they're two different separate franchises, and they're two of the really big franchises out there of science fiction, and I love it. I think Star Wars is more of a drama, is more of a a coming together, fighting the lightsabers that was patterned after kendo fighting styles, and whereas Star Trek is very cerebral, but it's also very poetic about the human nature, and I can respect and appreciate both genres, and both franchises. Because Star Wars is very action-packed and intense, and I'm not saying Star Trek doesn't have a lot of those things in it, and they do have a lot of elements where the Romulans come together, Romulans, Klingons, and Borg, oh my friend, as Dorothy would say. But what I'm trying to say is, Star Trek to me is staunchly different, and it's very poetic and about the human nature, and about how we always have we have this inner desire in us as humans to explore, to pioneer, and the whole concept of that I always found intriguing about Star Trek was and people find it nerdy, but I really don't. I think you can be a really cool kick butt dude and also be a trekker. Sometimes they call them Trekkies, sometimes they call a trekker. There seems to be a distinction. A trekker is trekking with the program. A Trekkie is one that's just, I guess there's a distinction. I don't know. But like I said, the human nature is so interesting. Star Trek, as they go about all these worlds and going where no man has gone before, and all of these things, and they come into contact with the Ferengi, and the Romulans, and the Vulcans, and the Klingons, and God, I gotta love the Klingons. One of my favorite episodes of Star Trek, especially of the Next Generation, was when Lieutenant Worf was talking to Wesley Crusher. Because Crusher, little old Wesley had this crush on a girl named Salia. I think the episode was called, oh God, I can't even think. It was during the second season, and that which really didn't take off yet. The series was, but what was so funny was Worf was describing, how it is to go after the Klingon women and stuff, and he goes, yeah, roar, and so Wesley goes, so you want me to roar at her? And he goes, no, Klingon men don't roar, Klingon women roar, and throw heavy objects at you, and claw at you, and then Wesley goes, well, what does Klingon men do? And Worf goes, he kind of looks out dreamily, and he goes, they read love poetry. And then when he thinks about it, he straightens himself up and goes, and then he ducks a lot. It's stuff like that that's just hilarious, that a lot of people don't really attribute to Star Trek as being funny. But stuff like that's hilarious. But it's about the human condition, and the more that they go, and yeah, they meet the Borg, and yeah, they meet all these things, but the more you learn about all these different creatures and different races that they find out there in the galaxies and universes, the more that we actually learn more about our human condition than we ever learn about what's out there. That's what we are. And so that's what I think is completely different about the Star Trek and the Star Wars. But sorry, I had to get off on a tangent there. But basically, and I love classic horror movies too. I've actually met Robert Englund, and I love the Nightmare on Elm Street series. I'm a big Halloween fan. I love John Carpenter and the whole Michael Myers series and stuff, and I'll be reviewing some of those movies, so be looking for it if that's what you do. But I just loved it. The whole series was great, and especially I am a huge Friday the 13th fan. I love Jason Voorhees, the whole thing. I grew up with that, and then you gotta love Chucky, you gotta love Child's Play. I remember watching Hellraiser. Hey, let me tell you something. If you think Saw was good, and I'm going to tell you, Saw kind of got repetitive with a whole bunch of things. You watch the Hellraiser series, which apparently, from what I hear, Clive Barker's fixing to bring the Hellraiser series back to reboot it. Yet another reboot, I know. And but it's supposed to be great. Love Battlestar Galactica. I'm telling you, that Katie Sackhoff, she puts the star in Battlestar Galactica. I mean to tell you, I loved Battlestar Galactica, the old movies. I remember when the original movie came out, it looked like that they were wearing He-Man helmets. I loved the big He-Man helmets. So like I said, I'm a classic 80s geek and a nerd. But hey, us nerds are taking over, if you haven't noticed, with the Marvel Universe and the DC Comics. Hey, DC, come on, guys. You guys have got to get with the program here. Marvel's kicking your butt right now because, you got to knock something out of the park. And I'm still anxious to see what Disney's going to do with this prequel trilogy of the movies. And they're scraping all of the old comics and everything, and they're starting from new, which I'll have thoughts on that and stuff when I review the movies and things. But so basically, I'm a little bit of everything. I like the classic sitcoms like Seinfeld and X-Files. Oh God, I'm a big X-Files fan. I swear, Gillian Anderson. I have a celebrity crush on that girl. If you're listening to this and if you're available, contact me, please. You can follow me on Twitter. DM_Thorkin. Look me up on Facebook. Have your people get with my people as soon as I get with people. But you understand. I was a huge Gillian Anderson fan, so I loved X-Files. And like I said, so I'm a little bit of everything. And I got the name Thorkin. Basically, that was the name I chose when I'm a huge Wheel of Time fan of Robert Jordan, which I will give that series due justice. Not long from now, don't worry, but I'll review that series. But I am a huge Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan fan, and they have one of these fan sites called dragonmount.com, and on the forums there, I'm Thorkin Barrymore, and that's where I get the name Thorkin. So basically, a little bit of everything here, and the reason why I chose to answer the previous question, the reason why I've decided to get my own channel and to come on here is, I've gone through YouTube a lot, and I especially looking for book reviews and movie reviews and things like that, and the more I look, the more I find these things, and a lot of times I see a lot of pessimism out there, and I see a lot of people that really don't kind of give the respect to it, the stuff that they deserve, I would love to have computer graphics. That's the next thing in the future, is I'm going to figure out how to do really wicked awesome computer graphics like some of these people that come on in here and it looks like it's a first class production. Now, I'm not there yet. Trust me, I'll get there. I'm an old dog, but I can learn things real quick. but like I said, it's coming together, and I see a lot of things out there, and it's just, it seems very pessimistic, and what I'm wanting to do is I wanted to create my own channel to where I could also review some of the things I love, and not just books and not just this, but everything, but also have a very positive thing on it. And so that and that people could subscribe. Be sure and subscribe to my channel, and also Shooting from the Hip and all these other things, and so that they could actually get a little bit out of this, and we could have some fun, and not have to worry about being so negative, and I can put on my video game reviews as well. So like I said, I'm on capital DEM _ Thorkin. I'm on Facebook at Chris Merrill. Or you can look me up at the dragamount.com forums at Thorkin Barrymore, at BARRIMORE. And, like I said, and just enjoy, celebrate that nerdism. Hey, don't run from it. So basically, likely, that's the reason why, hey, if you want things done a certain way, don't just sit around and wait to find the right one. Go out there and make your own channel, and bring a positivity to it that's lacking, or you think's lacking, and so that and a lot of people don't think that guys actually are smart and read, or can read things like romance novels and not get their feathers ruffled or things, and hey, I'm here to tell you, us guys can do it as good as the X guy, yeah. I mean, so hey, you give me your romance novels. Yeah, you give me, some horror novels. You give me some romance novels, or not just romance novels, but some action novels. Hey, we're going to cover it all here. And that's how we operate right here. That we'll erase them things one by one as we come to them. So like I said, I'll just leave you with that right now at the 3rd edition of Shooting from the Hip. And thank you guys for watching. And hopefully, I hope that it kind of helps your day, that you're not alone out there in this world. There are other geeks out there just like you that are enjoying life and enjoying it positively, and they're not obviously cynical on every little thing, and oh, it sucks, oh man, now I hate it. Hey, it is what it is. Enjoy life. Yeah, there's a few things that could be a little bit better, but hey, in the end of it all, the juice is worth the squeeze. Go out there, enjoy life. Have a few cold ones for me. Or if not, just, roll down them windows, crank up that radio, man, and enjoy the day. And I'll see you next time for another Shooting from the Hip.